It was my birthday, though you'd never know it by looking at my calendar. Just another Thursday packed with meetings, emails, and last-minute client calls. I'd started my day at 6 a.m., fixing my parents' Wi-Fi before work because only I know how to deal with it. By noon, I'd Venmo'd my mom grocery money again, and by 5 p.m., I was still helping my little brother rewrite his college essay over text, even though I was supposed to be off. All I wanted that evening was silence. Maybe a cheap beer. Maybe one slice of peace. Instead, I got a message from my dad. Sold the car. We'll need you to wire the tuition for your brother tomorrow. No explanation, no warning, just that. The car was mine, registered to me, paid off by me. It was my first real milestone, bought with weekend shifts, side gigs, and years of pushing off joy. My mouth went dry reading that text. I stared at it for a full minute, hoping I misunderstood, but I knew better. This wasn't a mistake. This was routine. I just never let myself see it that way before. Happy birthday, right? I didn't respond. I just sat there in the quiet, the phone screen glowing like a slap, and slowly, reality settled in like cold water on skin. I wasn't the son. I was the service, the backup, the wallet, and I think a part of me started to die right then. The part that still believed I belonged to something called family. I drove home in silence, no music, no radio, just the hum of tires on the road and the slow boiling of my thoughts. When I pulled into the driveway, the space where my car used to sit gaped at me like a pulled tooth. Gone. Inside, Dad was at the kitchen table with his coffee, and that casual entitlement he wore like a second skin. You saw the message, he said without looking up. It was a good deal, cash in hand. You sold my car without asking, I said. My voice was calm, but my hands were trembling. You live in my house, that makes it mine. He leaned back in his chair, like we were discussing chores, not theft. Besides, your brother's tuition is due Monday. You want him to fail. I looked to Mom. She kept wiping the same spot on the counter, eyes fixed on the floor. My brother, nowhere to be seen, probably hiding out in his room, pretending none of this was happening. I'm not paying, I said. It felt unreal coming out of my mouth. The first no I'd ever allowed myself in that house. Dad stood up. Then pack your things and go. You don't want to be part of this family. Fine, you're not my son anymore. The words hit harder than I expected. Even knowing who he was, I waited for Mom to say something to stop him, soften it, anything. But she just kept wiping that counter like it was the only thing left holding the house together. So I turned and walked to my room, quietly. No yelling, no begging, just the slow, precise movement of someone who's done carrying what doesn't love them back. I started packing my life into bags, one folded shirt at a time. As the home I once bled for turned its back and shut the door, I left just after sunset. No dramatic exit, no words, just me, a duffel bag, and the familiar creak of the porch steps as I walked to my car, the borrowed one. Mine was gone. As I drove to Marcus's place, the only friend who still picked up when I called, my mind spun with memory. All the tech I installed in that house, every bill on autopay under my name, their phones, Wi-Fi, streaming apps, even the fridge's smart controls, all tied to my accounts. I'd done it quietly, like a good son. No thanks needed. Just fix this, pay that, can you handle it? I kept telling myself it was love, but love doesn't cash in your car like it's a favor owed. Love doesn't ask and ask and ask, then throw you out when you finally say no. By the time I reached Marcus's driveway, something inside me had shifted. I wasn't their son anymore? Fine, if I'm dead to them, then the ghost gets to pull the plug. That night, I sat on the floor of his guest room and began the cleanup. Logged into every platform, app, and billing portal, canceled Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime. I wiped my info from their phones, ended the electricity autopay, disabled the thermostat app, changed passwords, closed the shared cloud storage, not out of revenge, out of principle. They wanted the benefits without the burden. They took and called it family. So I took myself back, one click at a time. I reclaimed what was mine, and for the first time in years, I felt something like power, not spite, just clarity. It didn't take long. By morning, the text started, Wi-Fi down again? Can't log into the bank app. The thermostat's acting weird. That was just the warm-up. By afternoon, things escalated. The electric bill bounced. Streaming services locked them out. The Amazon account wiped. Water shut off by the evenings. Thanks to a long overdue balance nobody ever noticed because I always handled it. I turned off autopay, closed the card, let the system do the rest. At first, I watched in silence, curled up on Marcus's worn-out couch, sipping gas station coffee like. It was champagne. There were spiraling, frantic calls from my brother, long voicemails from Mom. Even Dad tried to sound calm while asking, "Did you maybe forget to pay something?" I didn't respond, not a word. They'd never seen the machine behind the curtain, never bothered to ask how the lights stayed on, how groceries kept arriving, how their phones buzzed with updates and balances like magic. They just assumed, like they always had, that someone was out there catching the bricks before they hit the ground, that someone was me. Now, with me gone, the system cracked, slowly, publicly, and I sat back, not with revenge in my chest, but with something colder, cleaner. Satisfaction, not because they were suffering, but because, for once, they were seeing the shape of my absence, and it was bigger than they thought. By the second day, the cracks had become a collapse. Dad was unraveling, according to Marcus, who still lived near enough to hear the shouting through open windows. He'd torn through the house like a storm, accusing Mom of dropping the ball, blaming my brother for being useless with simple things, yelling about how one kid walks out and everything falls apart. The empire he thought he'd built, order, control, obedience, was crumbling, and he had no idea how to fix it without me. Then came the text from my brother, just one message, simple and strange. "I didn't even want college. They made me. I'm tired of pretending I'm something I'm not." For a moment, I didn't know what to feel. He'd always been the chosen one, the one they invested in, bragged about, protected. I thought he was happy living under their shield, but maybe he was just another cog, like I'd been, only prettier, quieter. I didn't reply right away. I just stared at the message, letting the silence sit. And in that quiet, something inside me settled. I had done the right thing, not out of anger, not to punish, but to survive, to end the cycle. For the first time in my life, I wasn't putting myself last. I didn't owe anyone my peace, my money, my labor, or my silence. Not anymore. They wanted a servant, a savior, a scapegoat. I was done being any of those things. What they didn't know, not yet, was that I'd left them something. Before I walked out of that house, I placed a folder on the top shelf of the hall closet. No dramatic note, no threat, just quiet, surgical truth. Inside, printouts of every bill I'd covered for the last 8 years, text chains where Dad demanded money for the family, receipts for electronics registered in my name, email threads of me handling their taxes, car repairs, even that one vacation they claimed was Dad's treat. I labeled it. "If you're looking for the system, here it is." 3 days later, Marcus forwarded me a screenshot from the family group chat. It was chaos. Mom had found the folder. She posted photos of the documents with the caption, "I didn't know." I swear I didn't know. My uncle replied with, "You let him pay your mortgage?" Seriously. My aunt chimed in, "So all those gifts came from him?" "Not from you." Then it got worse. Dad tried to downplay it, called it help from a grateful son, but no one was buying it anymore. Years of carefully maintained image, the strong provider, the proud patriarch, gone in a digital pile of PDFs. And just like that, the story changed. I wasn't the problem child. I was the foundation, the scaffolding, the reason the house hadn't fallen sooner. And now that the scaffolding was gone, everyone could see how fake the walls had been. I watched it all unfold from a distance, no comments, no explanations. I didn't need to defend myself anymore. The truth was doing that just fine. They came one by one. Dad first, with that cold voice. "You've made your point. Now grow up and fix this." Then Mom, softer, "Sweetheart. Families fight, but you don't abandon blood." Aunt and uncle followed, guilt, shame, then threats. "You're ruining everything your parents built." But I didn't flinch, not anymore. They didn't understand. The fear they used to hold over me was gone. They had no access to me now, no passwords, no leverage. I wasn't theirs to manipulate. Then, one night, my brother showed up at Marcus's, backpack over his shoulder, eyes hollow. "I left," he said. "I couldn't stay there. Can I stay with you?" I let him in without a word. As he sat down in the guest room I'd barely unpacked, I realized this wasn't just escape, it was rescue. Maybe not just mine anymore. Maybe his too. Looking back now, I wonder how I survived for so long inside that silence. Years of being the one who solved everything, funded everything, fixed what broke while breaking myself. I was the ghost in the machine, expected to perform, not speak. A walking bank account, a butler in family photos, and I let it happen because I believed that love meant sacrifice, that family meant loyalty no matter the cost, even when the cost was me. But the truth is simple. You can't save people who see your worth only when you're serving them. You can't heal in a place that keeps reopening your wounds. So I let go. I'm not angry. I'm not bitter. I'm free. I wake up now and the air feels different. Clean, still, mine. My space is quiet. My time is my own. And when my brother laughs from the next room, really laughs, I know we both escaped something neither of us could name before. I'm not their servant, not their safety net, not their silence. I'm me, and I will never disappear again.